Hello and welcome to EVTech Buzz, a podcast channel where we interview global industry leaders from EVTech industry. EVTech Buzz is launching its own professional social media platform in the month of February 26. And leading towards the launch is a series of interviews that we are doing with industry leaders. And we couldn't have found a more deserving industry leader and a guest for the maiden episode than who we have today. He is Kyriakos Georgiadis, and Kyriakos is an electrical engineer who started his career more than 10 years ago, developing industrial, automotive, and stationary storage lithium battery systems in Germany. He then joined Volocopter, one of the first companies developing a EVTOL aircraft. As head of battery development, he was responsible for defining the battery system strategy, requirements, and aircraft electrical architecture, and leading the development of two generations of battery systems, one in cooperation with a supplier and one in house. In parallel, he worked closely with the European aviation safety authorities on the certification requirements for propulsion battery systems and became responsible for the certification of the Volocopter electric propulsion system. In 2023, he started his own consultancy where he is working with a number of eVTOL, electric aviation, and drone companies, supporting them in developing and certifying their propulsion systems with various aviation authorities worldwide. So, as you can see, we have no ordinary guest today. With
Hey,
that,
Ravi. Thanks a
let's
lot for the introduction. Nice to be here.
Kyriakos, welcome to EVTech Buzz podcast. How are you doing today?
Very good. And you?
I'm doing well as well. See, reading your bio gives me a little shivers because I'm not from battery industry. So when we have these conversations today, you need to be mindful of that and maybe dumb your answers a little bit.
I'll do my best. Yes.
So that
It's also
it
that
is.
it's understandable by non-experts.
Yeah, of course. I mean, see, I'm not the listeners are going to be experts, obviously.
Yeah.
As long as you help me do a good job by dubbing it down for me. Um, so,
Great.
uh, so Kyriakos, at the global level, what makes car batteries and flying vehicle like eVTOL batteries so different, even though both are electric? But before you answer that, maybe you can explain what constitutes a battery first, okay, and then differentiate between car batteries and eVTOL batteries.
Well, battery. I mean, we all know the small batteries that we use every day, and if you put a lot of them together in a bigger system and wire them together and add monitoring and protection features, then you have a battery system that you can use to supply energy to vehicles of all kinds, road vehicles and also flying vehicles now. And yeah, in the last 10 years, I would say, there's a lot of interest in electrifying flying vehicles, aircraft, multicopters, helicopter style, etc., vertical takeoff and landing aircraft, inspired by the electric vehicle development and also driven by the development of the technology for electrifying. So better cells, better battery cells, better um, components to design and manage the battery systems. And in certain applications, electric flying vehicles, they have quite a few advantages compared to traditional fuel-based aircraft. Like electric vehicles have certain advantages over combustion vehicles, right? So even though batteries for cars and for aircraft are both batteries and in principle very similar, still these two applications, like with every other application that requires batteries, they have specific requirements that need to be met. and that leads to different design outcomes for the battery, because the requirements are very different in terms of required performance, required safety, how you need to do the process of developing the battery and proving that it is fit for the purpose, etc. So that's a big difference between those, and yeah, we can go into more details about how these different requirements and aspects of the batteries influence what is the end result, and how much effort is needed to develop those.
Got it. You said they differ on performance, safety, and process of developing the battery, because
Yeah.
the characteristics are different. So there are also some chemistries, right? Like NMC or NCA. Okay, so there are both
Mm-hmm.
EVs and EVTOLs use similar battery chemistries.
Yeah.
Um, so maybe you can explain what those chemistries are, and why does the same type of battery behave so differently in air compared to the road?
Mm. Yeah. So in principle, the same cell chemistry is used for road vehicles and for aircraft, with a couple of exceptions. There are some lower energy density chemistries like iron phosphate, LFP, that is being used in the automotive market, because we have more bigger weight budget there, to be honest, than in the aircraft, which are not used for aircraft. But other than that, the chemistry is the same. But both the cell manufacturers, they develop a range of cells with different properties to fit different requirements and demands from the users, and the vehicle or aircraft manufacturer selects cells with the properties that fit their application. And usually you have a trade-off between energy content and power delivery ability. So for some cells, they are optimized for high energy density to pack a lot of energy, but they can only give it out slowly without
Got it.
overheating. And
Mhm.
there are other cells. It can be also the same chemistry, but a different internal structure of the cells, where they have lower energy content, but they can push it out really fast. And
Mm.
depending on what you need for your application, um, this is one point of differentiation, where you select one cell or the other. And then there are also aspects around battery safety, how easy it is to trigger a cell into thermal runaway, and etc. So this is also a consideration. Lifetime is a consideration. So how many cycles can you discharge and charge the battery? How fast can you charge it, etc. So there's a number of parameters that you consider, and even with the same chemistry, depending on the details of the cell design, the cell form, etc., these parameters can behave very differently. So you choose what fits your application in the end.
Got it. So there is a question out of curiosity. It's not there in the list of questions that I had prepared. Um, where do these companies go out to find the battery of their choice? So is there a supply chain? Are there suppliers who offer them, where you give them the requirements, or you build them in-house? Um, where do these companies, eVTOL or electric companies, where do they get their battery requirements fulfilled from?
Um, well, the first option is to look for suitable batteries or cells in the market. Then you have to do your market research to find suppliers. Usually, it is relatively clear which are the potential suppliers, because you want a a company that has a lot of experience in manufacturing batteries. You usually don't want to go with a smaller company or a startup company, just due to the quality issues that you may have there with smaller productions or new developments. You want, let's say, mature, stable manufacturer. So you see what is available there, but there have been cases of EVTOL companies that didn't find cells that fulfill their requirements because they have some very specialized requirements, or they want to go beyond what is current state of the art for their product. So develop with specific targets in mind the aircraft, and then get the cells to that level that they need, and then they are working with small battery manufacturers that can custom develop something for them.
Got it.
And it's a apply new technologies, new materials, etc., whatever is needed to get to fulfill the requirements that you have.
Got it. Just curious, how many battery suppliers must be there around the world in this industry, say for eVTOL and car manufacturing? Like, are there like
Well,
dozens or in hundreds?
hundreds for sure.
Oh wow!
Maybe thousands.
Oh wow!
I mean,
But are
they
there
are,
like the major big players
the big players are not that many. They are maybe 10 big companies
wow.
supplying,
Wow.
and for electric aviation, it's the options are even more limited,
Oh okay.
because some of the established battery cell manufacturers for other applications, they are reluctant to supply cells for aviation because of the higher level of rigor that is needed for quality management, to be able to supply these cells, or the perceived higher risk that they have if something goes wrong with this kind of new application.
Hmm.
It was the same in the beginning with the electric cars, that every fire, every accident with an electric car was big news, and
Right.
this will be the same if there is when there is an accident with an electric aircraft.
Got it.
It will be big news, and they don't want to get caught up in it.
Got it. Got it. So that's why there are fewer suppliers, but it's also an opportunity, isn't it? I mean,
It is an opportunity because the supply side is quite low. The few suppliers that are there, they can demand higher premiums for the cells, even if the cell is the same that they use for other applications. They can mark it up for aviation usage, tied to say more, maybe more enhanced quality control or something like that.
Got it. So you, as a consultant, you are consulting the battery providers, or you are consulting the ones who are procuring these batteries from the market?
The ones who are procuring the batteries, and then you get the cells, and then you have to create a battery out of them to integrate them in the system. So you only buy the cells, or there are also some systems developers who do this work for the aircraft manufacturer of designing a battery system, but they also buy the cells and then create the system out of it.
I see. So it's not ready-made, ready to use. You buy it from the market and you get build the
No,
system.
there are no custom batteries, no let's say standard batteries or battery systems. Like for every vehicle, the battery is custom for that vehicle to fit into the shape, to fit into the requirements of the vehicle.
Got it.
And is developed specifically for that vehicle. That's the same for aircraft.
Got it. Got it. And usually, how complicated is that process from procuring the cell to converting them into a battery system? Is it like a couple of weeks of effort or longer, or how does it work?
It takes a few years.
Few years.
Yeah, for aviation batteries, yes,
Ah,
that's the effort involved, because the complexity is high, and the demands are conflicting that you have
got
there.
it. And this is again an outsourced team, or this is an in-house team that they invest in building this?
Uh, both both approaches are used. Um, Many companies opt to do it in-house because they see it as a key know-how of the company to be able um, to design and develop battery systems,
Got it.
because that's one of the key things that you need to create electric aircraft that you cannot just buy on the market.
Got it.
But there are also some system suppliers, and to a certain extent, there is some overlap. So, aircraft manufacturer can have an in-house team, but they can work together with a more specialized supplier for battery systems to develop something that is customized for that aircraft.
Got it. And in this entire ecosystem, so there are cell suppliers. Maybe there are consultants like you. Maybe there are some who outsource it. Where do you find all of them? Like, is there a marketplace where these people are found, where you can actually see who has a better rating, who has a better history of delivering good cells? Like, is there a directory of sorts,
No,
or
not really. It's just market
on-
research and talking to people in the industry. I mean, the electric vehicle industry is not that big,
got it?
and sooner or later you get to know the key players in that market. You get to talk to them, etc.
Got it.
And yeah, it's a development ecosystem, let's say.
Got it.
And uh, it takes also it's relatively slow paced,
Got it.
although this is starting to, or the hope is that this changes, but the development compared to other industries is much slower.
But you said it is a smaller industry. I think it is set to become a huge industry, isn't it? Because everything is becoming uh,
If everything goes according to the plans of the companies, then yes, there is potential high demand in certain areas of the world for this kind of electric mobility.
got it.
But yeah, the first hurdle is to get all of the certifications that are needed to bring the product into the market, and that's also a big difference compared to other industries for
Right.
aviation, because the standards that everybody is demanding from aircraft are much higher than for cars or other applications. Right?
Got it. So when you said the industry is small, you meant the industry for aerospace, not
Yes,
for cars,
yes.
right? Because car is huge. Automotive is huge, right?
Oh yeah, that's a huge one. I mean, we've all seen the development over the last years with electric vehicles. So that's a huge industry.
Got it.
The electric aviation one is smaller.
Got it. Excellent. All right, let's come back because I get sometimes curious and I take these tangents.
No, that's good.
So while comparing cars and aviation, so cars focus on long driving range,
Mhm.
and aircraft focus on staying light and extremely safe, right? So how
Yeah.
does these two different priorities change the way batteries are designed?
Yeah. Um, Besides these 2 points, I think also the cost plays a big role because the the electric car market is a lot more mature. Now the focus is more on optimizing the cost of the battery to be able to provide low priced cars, while in the aviation industry the low cost plays a secondary role, and that also affects how we see the other aspects of the battery system, like the materials that are used for the batteries. If you don't care so much about weight or about extreme levels of safety, etc., then you can use. But you do care about cost. Then there's other materials that you use to build your battery pack. You can use more metal, for example, while on the aviation side you have to use composite materials, for example, to save weight. Also, the effort that you put into the design and the development of the battery is different. The power delivery requirements from these two applications, like we talked a bit earlier, is a bit different. So you have a different power profile for the cars, which has small high peaks of power when you press on the accelerator, but it's not constant, this high power demand. And for the aircraft, you have more prolonged phase of high power demand when you take off or when you land. So that is affecting what kind of cells are you choosing and how you design your system around those cells. And also, you have big differences in the general electrical architecture of your vehicle. So how is your battery connected to the other electrical systems, to the motors of your car? Because in the car you have one or two motors usually. In an EVTOL, you have a lot of motors, a lot of propellers. So you have to distribute the energy differently, and also you cannot have just one big battery in an aircraft like you have in a car, because you need to account for the possibility that something goes wrong in the battery, and you need to be able to continue flying if something goes wrong in the battery. So you need to have at least 2 or 3 separate battery packs in the aircraft, where you can have just one big battery in the vehicle, road vehicle.
Got it. So it's like a fail-safe mechanism, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly. So all of these differences, they affect how the batteries are designed, and this leads to big differences in the final design of what works in each application.
Got it. Excellent. So EVs usually use energy slowly, right? And
Yeah.
slowly and steadily. EVTOLs need a huge burst because they have to take off, right? So how does this difference in power demands affect the performance of the batteries?
Yeah. One other point that is very important and is affecting the requirements even more, I would say, related to this, is the power demand for landing for eVTOLs. Because if you want to land vertically, then you need more or less exactly the same power that you need for takeoff. And
but I thought gravity would make it easier, no, to land.
Well, you still need to stop at some point, otherwise you're crashing. So you need to flare or do some other maneuvers with your aircraft, and that is causing.
You have to maintain it. You have to balance it. You have to maintain it. So that needs
Yes,
energy. Mm.
and
Got
you have to keep in mind that when you're stationary in the air, when you're hovering, or you're descending slowly, or you're ascending slowly, when you're moving slowly, um, you need a lot of energy because you need to counteract the gravity.
gravity. Got it.
Um,
Got it. Yeah.
if you take off and then you start, say, wing-borne flight, where the wings are carrying a lot of the mass of the aircraft, or all of the mass of the aircraft, and you just have to put energy to move it forward, that is a lot less power demand. But when you
Mm.
go to land vertically, you need a lot of power. And compared to the takeoff situation, takeoff, you have a full battery.
Got
You
it.
have a full battery. You have a cool battery. It's not been used before for that flight, etc. So um, it's a lot easier to handle this peak power demand than at the end of the flight, where you have a depleted battery.
Got it.
You have a battery that may be warmer than in the beginning because you flew around with that battery for a while, and then you need to provide power, and you need to ensure that the battery can provide this power, otherwise you will crash. So that is a big limitation for the batteries, because it increases the energy in the battery that cannot be used for flying. Because um, as we said in the beginning, if you take out power slowly from the battery, you can take out more power. If you
Yeah.
need to take a lot of power out of the battery, then the energy is more limited. So you still have energy inside of your batteries, but you cannot use it because the cells are overheating, or the voltage is getting too low, etc.
Got it.
So that is a big difference in the power profiles um, between cars which don't have these issues, or not to that extent, um, and where the system is able to, let's say, more intelligently allocate the power demand. So if you are low on battery in a car and you push down the pedal, then
Mm.
you are not, the system is noticing that the battery is not having the ability to provide so much power, so it's limiting the power that is getting to the wheels, so that the battery is not having any issues.
Got it.
But on the aircraft, you cannot limit the power that you give to the motors, because then you
Mm.
stop flying.
Mm. Got it. So the demands of an aircraft is much higher
Is
in
is
terms of that.
higher, and it's there's very different philosophy, right? In the car, let's say, the battery is the king. If if
Mhm.
if the battery is okay, then it's everything fine. If the battery has some limitations, then the car behavior adapts to those limitations. The
Mm.
systems, the monitoring systems, etc., they know these limitations, and then they change how the car behaves when you make an input. But on the aircraft, it's the other way around. You have the power demand that needs to be met for
Mm.
the aircraft to do the maneuvers, or to stay on in the air that you want,
Got
and
it.
then the battery has to provide it. And if it cannot, because it will overheat, then whatever, it will overheat, and then at least the aircraft is getting down on the ground safely.
Got it.
But of course, you cannot have this kind of emergency situations um, uh, very often, or at all, because that creates dangerous situations, right? And so you have to design your system to account for these effects.
Got it. You briefly mentioned in the previous question about the price.
Yeah.
Um, how much is the price of a battery accounted for the overall price of the EVTOL or the aviation machine?
Uh, the difficult question. It depends on so many factors that you cannot get a simple answer out of
But
that.
is it still majority is a battery cost is the majority contributor of the overall cost?
Um, not not necessarily. It's a big cost. The development of the battery is a huge cost
Got it.
compared to the development of the entire vehicle.
Got it.
And also for the battery, you have recurring costs because you have to replace
Mm,
the batteries
got it.
when they wear out. So in principle, yes, a battery is a major cost factor for eVTOLs.
Got it.
What is the percentage to other systems in the aircraft depends a lot on what else you have in the aircraft, right?
Got it. So let's talk about heating. You also mentioned about that. So thermal runway, which is battery overheating,
Yeah.
should be dangerous to any vehicle, no, whether it is car or a
Yeah, sure.
flying vehicle. But why is it a bigger concern for the flying vehicle?
Well, in a car, if you have overheating or fire, then worst case you stop at the side of the road and get out of the vehicle. So if you have if the design and construction of the vehicle and the battery, they give you like, I don't know, the 5 minutes time to notice that something is wrong, get the alerts from the car, and then stop if you're moving and get out, then that's fine. In principle, then okay, the car burns down, but you're safe. And for aircraft, it's different because you cannot just stop on the side of the road. You have to continue flying until you get to a landing spot, and there are rules depending on the jurisdiction, on the country, etc., where even if you can land vertically, like a helicopter, you are just, even if you have an emergency and some of your systems failed, you're not allowed just to land anywhere in the city, for example, because this creates danger to other uninvolved persons on the ground.
Got it.
So you still have to be able to continue flying and find a suitable landing spot that is designed for taking aircraft, right?
Got it.
And if you have um, an aircraft with wings, then it's clear that you need to find an airport to land.
Got
So this automatically means that in case of a thermal runaway, first you need to manage the fire and the gases and the heat that is generated. We've all seen the videos from electric vehicle fires, how
Yeah.
that looks like. And then you also have to have enough redundancy and protections in the system so that the rest of your battery system can continue working and continue providing power so that your aircraft is landing safely. And this is one of the big challenges, of course, due to the high energy being released when you have a battery fire, on how to handle this safely with as little weight increase as possible in your battery system, because for sure you can make a good safe battery system that contains everything, but it will be super heavy and your aircraft will not be able to take off. So the weight limitations make complying to this kind of requirements very, very challenging.
Got it.
Another point is that until a couple of years ago, a few years ago, even the authorities were not sure on what level of safety or what level of safety they would demand from somebody who wants to certify an aircraft in case of thermal runaway, because you need to have some safety margins in your design, right? And you need to demonstrate these safety margins by tests. And where is the appropriate level of safety margin for this kind of unpredictable event? That's a big question, and yeah, it's getting clearer, but it's been a long road, and this slows down the certification of aircraft a lot, because the requirements were not really clear.
Thanks for bringing that up on safety testing. That was my next question. So in the car batteries, they have automotive safety rules, right? Like there is UNEC standards. EVTOL batteries must pass aviation rules from agencies like EASA or FAA, right?
Yes.
So what's the big difference between the two worlds of safety testing?
Well, as I said, first of all, the requirements of how a vehicle is supposed to behave after an incident, let's say, either a failure of a system that it's not supplying power anymore, or even a fire, is very different between cars and aircraft. But besides that, let's put it that way, the process of getting an aircraft certified or a vehicle homologated, it's much more stringent for aircraft. The oversight from the certification authorities is much deeper, much higher level, and you have to demonstrate, to prove to them that not only the final product that you develop is safe, but also that the whole design and development process, and also the manufacturing process, complies to aviation requirements. In automotive, it's looser. So a car company can say, okay, I want to develop a new car. They don't have to ask for permission or notify anybody. They just start developing, and they build a car, and then they do some testing and show that according to this UNC or whatever rules, there are also industry rules for car companies, or even self-defined rules that each car company is using to make sure that their product is safe, but more that their product will not cost them more down the line due to recalls and bad quality and repairs and this kind of stuff. So that's their main motivation, to reduce their liability and costs down the line. And in aviation, it's okay, if you want to develop a new aircraft or even a new system that goes into the aircraft, sorry for that, then you need to work together with the authorities from the beginning, tell them what you intend to do, how you intend to do it, and then they define, okay, these are the rules that apply to your product that you have to comply to. And then they are following the whole development process, seeing what you're doing, how you're developing the stuff, how you're testing, etc. And that is what in the end can give you a certified product. But if you don't do all of this process together with the authorities, then you don't have then you cannot get certified. And that is a much higher burden for the companies to do all of these processes and follow these aviation rule, but it's what makes the aircraft safe in the end, right? That you are building on the experience of the past, and you are setting a higher standard on how to develop stuff, and that's why the aircraft are the safest form of transport. And yeah, it's a lot more complex, but and the level of requirements is higher. So, for example, for electric vehicle batteries, for a long time there were no requirements about thermal runaway testing. So the manufacturers legally didn't have to test for it. Some did, maybe did, but the level of testing was really unknown and left up to the manufacturer on what to test in terms of thermal runaway. There were some tests about about the effects of fire or external fire, etc. But this is getting better also in the automotive industry, by the way. But in contrast to this, let's say more loose and lower level of requirements in the aviation industry, you have requirements that you need to show that if a cell goes into thermal runaway, it doesn't spread to others, or that if it spreads to others, that it is contained in your battery pack and it's not affecting anything else around it that is critical for flight. And in reality, usually you have one cell failing and then causing this chain reaction inside of your battery. But testing this is not enough for aviation. This is the minimum level of testing. So there are requirements, for example, from EASA here, that you need to trigger not just one cell, but 20% of the cells in your battery at the same time, which creates a huge amount of fire and energy, which is not something that you have at any point in reality. But this is how you test it, and you need to show that your system can withstand this extreme event, so that you can show that you have margins against what would happen in reality. Just because this event is pretty unpredictable on how it develops and how it goes after you have the first cell in thermal runaway. So this kind of huge safety margins, it's not something that exists in the automotive world.
Got it. So let's also end this with a little bit of a future outlook. So looking ahead, what upcoming breakthroughs in batteries will influence both EVs and EVTOLs, say in the next 5 years or so? You say that this is a slow-moving industry. So let's give a timeline of 5 to 10 years.
Yeah, I mean, slow moving for aircraft in comparison to the fast moving pace of the electric vehicle market, right? Just because you have all of these certification aspects to take care of. But in terms of technologies, I mean, there are a lot of interesting technologies coming with solid state, semi-solid state, increased silicon content or pure silicon anodes, and all of that kind of stuff. There is a lot of energy and money being poured into battery chemistry, battery cell research, which will benefit everybody, because all applications more or less need energy storage, and when we improve the energy storage, then we enable new applications. So I'm pretty optimistic about the future. always you have to see what are the real trade-offs, because yes, you will have higher energy density, but can you get the energy out fast enough like is needed for electric aircraft? How is the cycle life of these new technologies? These are the points that are usually, let's say, lacking in the beginning when you introduce a new technology. And some applications like electric vehicles are better able to deal with these deficiencies in the beginning. So, for example, if the power output of a new cell that has a very high energy is relatively low, then that could be okay for a car vehicle, because you only need power peaks that are quite small. But this could be a showstopper for an eVTOL until the battery technology matures further, or a cell that is a lot more reactive, because it has higher energy content when something goes wrong. May be okay for a road vehicle, but may not be able to be handled within the weight budget that you have in an aircraft. So I see all of these new developments being first applied to, say, more traditional markets like the automotive market, or consumer electronics markets, etc. And then when the technology matures a bit, and we learn more about how it behaves under different circumstances, when the performance increases a bit in the aspects that are critical for aviation, then they will be able to be used in aviation. But for the foreseeable future, for the next few years, I don't see, let's say, breakthrough technologies being used in aviation, just because of the long timelines to develop some and certify some new technology. So even if you have new cells, you have to prove that their manufacturing is very consistent, and that you can produce the same cell after 5 years with the exact same properties that you tested for, and it's not behaving differently, which is a real challenge. You need to do all of this kind of thermal runaway and performance testing. You need to do all of this cycle life testing, because you need to guarantee that that when you take off, you will be able to finish your flight, and you have enough energy to do that. So with all of the aging effects, you need to understand them very well, and all of this takes a lot of time. And in other applications and for road vehicles, some of these are not that important. So if your range drops too fast, then okay, maybe the manufacturer needs to provide you a new battery in warranty or something like that, but it's not safety critical.
Got it. Got it. Well, this brings us to the end of a very insightful conversation with Kyriakos. As you can see, Kyriakos has a wealth of knowledge and wisdom. Kyriakos, how many years have you been working in the battery technologies now?
More than 10 years now.
Okay.
As you said in the beginning, yeah, I started with automotive and industrial applications, so different set of requirements, and then pretty early on I changed to the aviation side, where I thought, okay, the challenges here are a lot bigger for battery development, and that is something exciting. And yeah, the challenges remain high. So
Got it. And
it's still
that's what
exciting.
makes it interesting. That's what makes it interesting, isn't it? And
Exactly.
if the listeners who are listening to this, if they want to reach out to you, Kyriakos, what is the best way to reach out to you?
LinkedIn. I'm on LinkedIn, and website, contact form. That's the best way.
Excellent. So we'll put Kyriakos LinkedIn link in the show notes below the podcast. The podcast will be on YouTube. Also, we have a LinkedIn page. EVTech.buzz is the website. Please sign up on the website. We're also coming up with our conference in Malaysia, where we have invited Kyriakos to come as a guest speaker, and we'll be do subscribe to this channel, because there'll be a lot of more guests coming up. And in February, when we launch our professional social media platform, it'll have again a lot of information packed there. So with that, thank you all. Thank you, Kyriakos, for your time. See you around. Bye bye.
Thank you also. Looking forward to it. Have a good one. Bye.
Bye.